The gig economy is defined by freelance work, temporary workers, and part-time shifts. Today, we examine the gig economy, from its origins to the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on gig companies such as Uber and Lyft, as well as its future prospects. Contrary to popular belief, the concept of a gig economy has been present for years. In the 1920s, jazz musicians began to refer to their performances as gigs. The term stuck. Since then, a job market grew around temporary workers, with significant growth occurring in the post-World War II United States economy. 10% of all Americans were temporary workers of some sort by 1995. The gig economy really took off, however, with the advent of the digital age. In 1996, Craig Newmark started Craigslist, initially an email newsletter titled San Francisco Events. It grew to include advertisements for jobs, housing, and many other items. Amazon, for one, has been a prolific employer of gig workers, utilizing them for tasks deemed too complex for machines and AI to accomplish. Mainly warehouse workers, Amazon's contract laborers help drive their business. However, Amazon and other companies have faced recent blowback about their handling of gig workers' rights. They're often not afforded the same rights given to full-time workers. Just this year, several temporary workers at Amazon have gone on strike, protesting the firing of several warehouse employees and demanding better working conditions amid the COVID-19 crisis. Even Uber and Lyft, the iconic symbols of the gig economy, have been under fire. Assembly Bill 5, a bill in the state of California, hopes to offer the status of employee to gig workers and is drawing ire from gig employers. However, the situation of individual Uber and Lyft drivers often escapes our attention, especially when the focus rests on large corporate entities. We sat down with Angela France, a Lyft driver from San Diego, to shed light on this perspective.
My name is Angela France, and I drove for Lyft.
So why did you decide to become a Lyft driver?
My son plays hockey, which is a very expensive sport, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. And as the hockey fees continued to add up, I was just looking for something I could be very flexible because I'm a stay-at-home mom. So I wanted to be available to be at my kid's school if he needed anything, or to be home for him when he comes home from school. But I wanted something that I could make a little bit of money to help offset the hockey fees.
According to the Pew Research Center, around 36% of American workers are somewhat involved in the gig economy to some extent. Drawing on your personal experiences being quarantined at home during this pandemic, how do you think it's affecting the gig economy as a whole and the lives of individual gig economy workers?
I mean, I'm out of work. I imagine, but that's myself, right? I choose not to go drive because I'm not going to expose myself. I have asthma, my son has asthma, and my 70-plus-year-old mom lives with me. I'm not going to risk my family, but again, I don't do this full time. I'm not paying my mortgage by driving for Lyft. I think that people who are depending on this for their livelihood are in big danger right now, because the number of rides that are available are minuscule, and the number of drivers that still need to make a living is very plentiful. And so I think that it has had a massive effect on the people who use this as their livelihood. Again, I said I use it to pay for my son's hockey. His hockey has been canceled. So, however, on the flip side of that is that Lyft and Uber are not allowed to pick up minors. And so I have done kind of a spinoff of driving for Lyft, and I personally drive kids to and from school. And that is not through the Lyft platform. So I have my own insurance and my own side business in which to drive these minors from their homes to school. And now that schools are canceled, that is completely canceled. And so that was actually my primary sense of income since I started doing that. I made a lot more money doing that than doing Lyft. So, and that's completely gone as well. So, um, as far as other areas, though, if you look at some of the multi-level marketing businesses that would be considered part of the gig economy, things like Pampered Chef or Norwex or doTERRA, some of those things I think are actually really thriving right now because so Norwex has products that cleans homes. doTERRA has essential oils that lead to I'm trying to think of some purification things, and so that part of the gig economy I think is probably thriving right now because people are looking for ways to keep clean or to keep calm, and I would say that things like essential oils and cleaning products are probably doing very well right now.
And this diversity is what makes the gig economy more resistant to external forces, as the sheer size and number of many gig businesses simply makes the gig economy all the more healthy. However, in the face of COVID-19, all businesses are seeing their share of struggles, especially Uber and Lyft.
Basically, ride-sharing businesses like Uber and Lyft are now pretty much out of work since there's a lot of decreased traffic and people are being encouraged to stay at home. What do you think the short-term impacts and long-term impacts of this will be on companies like Uber and Lyft that rely on commuters?
I think, short term, it's going to heavily impact the drivers. I know that the owners of Lyft have given up their salary to help fund some things that need to happen through the organization. I've recently received some emails that they're trying to partner with companies like Amazon and Amazon Fresh and Instacart, where they're able to get their drivers to do deliveries and to take people to medical appointments rather than having that worker just be out of work. And so, again, I haven't signed up for any of that because it's not something that I'm willing to do. I'm not willing to expose myself in that manner. But I know that Lyft is trying to pivot and find ways in this pandemic that their drivers can be of assistance to the community and still be able to make a living.
So long term, do you think that these are areas that ride-sharing businesses will be able to break into, like shuttling people to the hospital, delivering food?
Yeah, I think that they already are. You look at things like Instacart and yeah, well, Uber Eats and Lyft has one as well, but there's other companies outside of that, DoorDash.
Yeah.
And there's another one, I don't remember what they're called, but those already, are a big part of the market. There are also several medical groups that already partner with Lyft in driving seniors to and from appointments. So when I would drive during the day, there were often times that I would pick up people from doctor's offices and take them home. And that was actually paid by the doctor's office rather than by the person who was in the vehicle. And so I think that they could definitely pivot into more of that. But I also feel like in this particular instance, in this pandemic, people are going to get healthy again. And I think our economy will grow again. And I don't see this as something that's going to break Uber or Lyft. Maybe some of the smaller ones. There is one that picks up kids called Skip Hop or something like that. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of it, but that one's probably suffering right now because kids they're probably suffering more than Uber and Lyft because they're a smaller company and they have such a niche market. With kids not starting back to school until likely August or September, those drivers are probably out of work. But a lot of the drivers that drive for one company drive for all the companies. I only drive for Lyft. I'm an unusual one.
With some gig companies effectively hamstrung when it comes to their available market, the future of the gig economy is in question. Before the pandemic, projections were largely positive. Analysts predicted significant growth, and according to the Associated Press, major companies like Google were considering mandating a minimum wage for gig workers. However, questions still linger.